good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. My name is Nathan. Today, we're going to be talking about another one of the great albums, one of the best albums of all time by the Tyler, the creator. We're going to be talking about Igor. So, just some small info about Igor. So, Igor is actually the sixth studio album by Tyler, the creator, and it was released on May 17, 2019. The album was purely produced by Tyler himself, and there's also some features or guest appearances by other artists such as Playboy Cardi, Lil Uzi Vert, and even Kanye West. Last episode we talked about graduation, and yeah, this album follows the release of Tyler's previous album, which is Flower Boy, in 2017. Fun fact: Tyler releases well yeah he releases an album every 2 years, and that means that he's been releasing albums since the 2010s. Yeah, so yeah Tyler the creator's Igor has won a lot of awards, and in fact he's produced so many albums to try and get number one on the billboards. And yeah, he managed to get a number one on the billboards, beating DJ Khaled's other. Well, I remember he was competing with DJ. Well, he wasn't really competing with DJ Khaled. Beef is mutual, and yeah, uh, DJ Khaled really took it seriously, and yeah, he just started flaming Tyler for Igor. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Igor in general. Igor, oh, how he made Igor, why he made. Well, of course, why he made Igor. How he made Igor. What made Igor Igor? But no, we're going to be talking about the songs and Igor, and we'll just dig deep onto why he created Igor and who's this for. Is there any global significance? That's what we're here to find out. Let's talk about Igor. At the first song, Igor's theme. I will never get tired of listening to Igor's theme and Igor in general because Igor is, well, it's one of my favorite albums of all time by one of my favorite artists of all time. So let's just get straight into Igor's theme. Now, there's not really any lyrics in the song. Well, there's actually some lyrics, but this is just Igor's theme. So let's look at the authorial choices. First, Tyler is really known for his experimental music style. The song opens with a 22-second synth build-up, and this creates the tone of anticipation and mystery. And at around 23 seconds, distorted drums kick in. And this is sampled from Head West's 1970s song Attention, and this gives a very slow and deliberate pace. Fun fact, it was made with 79 BPM. And these choices establish a dreamlike tension, and this represents the emotional state of the Igor persona. Now, who is Igor? We're going to learn through this song. Well, not through this song, but through this album. So, next, there's the layered vocals and textures. The track features uncredited vocals from Lil Uzi Vert and another artist called Solange, and it blends this call and response with Tyler's voice. There's the repeated lines, "Riding around town, they gonna feel this one," and of course, "Got my eyes open." It's so iconic, and this builds both rhythm and atmosphere, and it anchors you in Igor's journey even before the story begins. Next, there's this minimalist but charged lyrics. These lyrics consist almost entirely of repetition, running, riding, got my eyes open, creating a mantra-like quality that focus listeners to listen into Igor's emotional mindset. And the simple phrase, "he's coming, heaven, heaven," opens space for interpretation. It is the anticipated lover, personal transformation, or emotional reckoning. So, is there any global significance to the song? Well, no, not really. Igor's theme is just Igor's theme. This song is supposed to tell us who Igor is. It's rich, moody, and it's experimental. It has a fluid and open-ended emotional state rather than a defined storyline. And by starting with Igor's theme, Tyler invites us into someone else's mind, uncertain, open, and ready to ride the emotional roller coaster of love and obsession. So, let's get into the next song, Earthquake. So, Earthquake. What is? I think. Oh wait. It is Tyler the Creator's most popular song. If I'm not wrong, it's either that or "See You Again." But this is the most popular song of the album, and it's supposed to be accompanied by the music video, which involves him in this live studio audience scenario where he's wearing a really stupid but yellow blonde wig. But enough about that. Let's talk about the song. So, Earthquake is both a love song and a breakup plea. Delivered through raw vulnerability and this genre blending production, he uses the metaphor of an earthquake to represent the emotional destruction caused by a failing relationship or the start of loving. So, authorial choices. First, repetition. Repetition is something common in Tyler's album. Well, this album specifically. So, uh, a repeated phrase throughout the chorus is "Don't leave, it's my fault," and Tyler repeats this phrase with slight variations, almost like a mantra or desperate cry. And the repetition conveys a mix of self-blame and pleading, which emphasizes the cyclical thought process of someone in emotional distress and makes the listener feel trapped in the same mental loop as the narrator. And next is the metaphor of the earthquake. You make my earthquake. That's it's a metaphor that does two things. First, it has a physical force. Love feels like a destabilizing and uncontrollable natural disaster, as well as the emotional force. This suggests that relationships can shake the very foundation of one's identity. By using a natural disaster metaphor, Tyler shows how love can be beautiful but also destructive outside of human control. Next is lo fi and imperfect vocal delivery. Tyler intentionally keeps his singing slightly off key and distorted, and his production choice matches the vulnerability of his lyrics. This shows his imperfection, and it's authentic. The choice signals the emotional truth is more important than technical perfection. Finally, there's the juxtaposition of sweet melodies as well as the heartbreak lyrics. The song is upbeat, with major keys being played by the piano with a slow pacing BPM. It's almost bubbly, but it contrasts with the pain of the lyrics, and this mirrors how heartbreak can exist alongside fond memories, or how people can hide pain behind cheerful facades. So let's talk about global significance. Something really common that we've seen throughout lyrics that matter is the normalization of male vulnerability. In hip hop, men showing emotional fragility is often stigmatized, but Tyler challenges this by openly pleading and admitting fault and showing heartbreak. This helps dismantle stereotypes about masculinity, encouraging open expression of emotions worldwide. And of course, there's the universality of relationship struggles. The plea, "Don't leave, it's my fault," it resonates across cultures. Love, heartbreak, and regret are human constants. And this song reminds listeners that vulnerability is not weakness, but a shared human experience that fosters empathy. So, what do we know about Igor so far? So, we start with in Igor's theme, we start with a mysterious and bass-heavy opener. It feels like the beginning of a strange, colorful story, and it sets the tone without spelling things out. So it's almost like the first time you meet someone who intrigues you, but you don't fully understand them yet. This is Igor. So, what we know about Igor is through Earthquake, we can tell that he's in love with someone. We're gonna disregard the other meaning of him telling not to leave or like them already being in a relationship. No, this is the story of Igor, and Igor has just met this person. This person shakes his world. It's sweet and vulnerable, and there's already a hint that things might not be perfect. The romance feels euphoric but unstable. Igor is in love with someone, so this song is a love story. But we're not gonna get the full picture just by these two songs. So let's let's go into the next song, which is another popular song. It's called I Think. That was I Think by Tyler the Creator from Igor. And let's uh, let's get into the analysis. So again, authorial choices, genre fusion, and sonic texture. Tyler blends multiple styles. His iconic alternative R&B, post disco, alt pop, synth pop, and funk. And this creates a fluid and emotionally charged soundscape. The production is inspired by Nigerian funk, notably BB Maskel's Special Lady and Nkolo Tele's Get Down, and it lends the song this dreamy rhythm that mirrors the uncertainty of falling in love. Next, there's a collaborative depth, and it's not immediately noticeable, but the track features additional vocals by Solange and background harmonies by several artists, and this enhances the emotional resonance and gives the chorus additional depth. Again, there's more use of a vulnerable lyricism and relatable metaphors. The opening lines, I don't know where I'm going, but I know what I'm showing, feelings, that's what I'm pouring, captures emotional turbulence, heart on sleeve, yet aimlessly drifting. The metaphor, I'm your puppet, you're Jim Henson, it feels precise, and it illustrates how love can make one feel controlled or compelled in unexpected ways. The allusion to call me by your name, man, I wish you could call me by your name because I'm sorry, invokes themes of intimacy and identity. And finally, there's the chorus. I think I'm falling in love, this time I think it's for real. It's the repetitive nature that conveys both excitement and hesitation, which is a paradox of hope and fear in new love. So, the global significance, it's I think it's the universality of the vulnerability of falling in love. Uh, as I think captures the universal moment of questioning whether someone is the one to let your guard down for. Whether in romantic or platonic relationships, people globally resonate with emotional uncertainty and the desire for reciprocation. Tyler's candid emotional expression pushes back traditional stigmas, of course, around male vulnerability, and especially in music. And by voicing his confusion, his insecurities, and as well as his love, he invites the listeners everywhere to embrace emotional nuance. I think it's a very powerful and emotional song. It captures the confusion but the thrill of falling in love. Tyler crafts a song that is both deeply personal and universally relatable. I think the global message is really clear, and it's that love can unsettle us. But writers of emotional uncertainty need to be heard, not hidden. I think the song I think is the stage of, is the fall in love. Igor questions his feelings, but it's almost too fast. The beat is bright and upbeat, masking the fact that he's unsure where he stands in the relationship. There's excitement, but it's his first flicker of doubt. So, we're going to go on to the next song now, which is Running Out of Time. Let's go. We're on the next part of Tyler the Creator's or Igor's part of his love story, which is Running Out of Time. So let's just skip the formalities and let's get into what Running Out of Time is. So the authorial choices for this song, first there's the expressive repetition and urgency. The song repeatedly cycles through running out of time, running out of time, running out of time to make you love me. It's repetition again. And then, the repetition crystallizes the protagonist's desperate emotional state. Every run and every time, it just hits. It gives this sense of anxiety and urgency. Next, there's water imagery as an emotional metaphor. And Tyler uses potent imagery to depict emotional overwhelming. Wade in your water, your waves crash. Your no, your waves wash over me. I drift to the deep end, found peace in drowning. The metaphor casts his surrender and love as both consuming and tranquil, as he finds solace in emotional immersion, and even if it risks overwhelming him. Authenticity versus facade is another core theme, and Tyler confronts masks as well as pretenses. Take your mask off, stop lying to yourself, Halloween ain't for a minute, lose the costume. He urges genuine emotional expression, nothing superficial or artificial. He cuts through illusions that stifle real connection. Finally, there's the contrasting of sonic emotions, and despite its tense lyrics, the instrumental remains relatively dreamy and mellow, which is really common in this song. It creates a dialectic between internal panic as well as externally being calm. And this contrast underscores how heartbreak can feel surreal. There's a few global significance that I can take from this. First is confronting time pressed love. The track captures a universal fear that love may expire before it's fully realized. That urgency running out of time to make you love me is feeling many know, regardless of background. And finally, it's understanding vulnerability and surrender, of course. This song reminds us that vulnerability isn't a weakness, it can be cathartic. Tyler's depiction of drowning as peace invites listeners ever to accept surrendering to feelings can be grounding, not just painful. Running Out of Time is a very moving and philosophical exploration of an unrequited love, as well as self deception. And through vivid metaphors, urgent repetition, and compelling instrumentals, Tyler captures the heartbreak of too little time to be truly seen and loved for who you are. So, I think, uh, I think is like I said, it's the truth creeps in part of the story. Here, Igor realizes the love interest may be seeing someone else. He's trying to make you love me, but senses he's losing the race. And the sunny sound contrasts with growing tension. The relationship isn't as secure as he thought. I say thought. But why is this person that he's in love with not reciprocating the feelings back? Usually in love stories, they end up falling for each other and then, they both end up together in the end. But no, he's running out of time to make this person love him. But why? We're about to find out soon. But here is the next song, which is the second most popular song from this album, which is New Magic Wand. Let's go. So I've just listened to New Magic Wand, and honestly, I'm not really that much of a fan of this song. But this song is hype. I guess you could say that. I'm not sure if that's a academically acceptable term for a song, but it's New Magic Wand. Who would analyze this for an English paper one? But anyway, let's talk about the authorial choices. So first off, it's very aggressive. Again, this is Tyler the Creator's use of different genres. It's an aggressive industrial funk soundscape. The song's production blends synth funk, experimental hip hop, alternative R&B, and neo soul, and it creates this menacing and very bass heavy song. John Caramanica, John, he describes it as industrial funk reimagining of Miami-based music with shuddering, staticky low end and dizzying percussion. The intense sonic backdrop mirrors Igor's internal turmoil, which is his jealousy, obsession, and emotional instability fitting the song's narrative. There's another powerful visual metaphor, which is New Magic Wand, which operates on multiple levels. First off, it's a reference to Photoshop's tool that erases a part of a photo. He wants to remove the romantic rival from the picture. As a metaphor for a gun or destructive power, which is evident in the lyric, "She's gonna be dead, I just got a magic wand." And these dual meanings deepen the emotional and moral complexity of longing to eliminate anyone who stands between him and his love. That's another clue to who Tyler's Igor's romantic interest, who he's romantically interested in. So next is the raw confession in the lyrics. The song captures a desperation and possessiveness through lines like, I need 100 of your time, you're mine. Now pick a side, and if you don't, I'll pick you both. And these lines highlight the narrator's unwillingness to share and his moral extremism. Self awareness surfaces with, my brother said I'm on the spectrum, and don't call me selfish, I hate Sharon. Here, Tyler hints at the deeper psychological layer and possible neurodivergence, which challenges the traditional notions of love and possessiveness. And finally, there's the narrative pacing and intensity. The track's opening line from Jared Carmichael, sometimes you gotta close a door to open a window, operates as a philosophical hook, propelling the listener into an emotional crisis. Tyler closes with escalating urgency and a narrative shift that underlines how far he's willing to go emotionally and metaphorically to secure love or tension. I think the global significance in this song is, um, first off, there's the dark side of obsession. The song dramatizes how crushing jealousy and unreciprocated affection can lead to destructive thoughts and fantasies. And while extreme, many listeners worldwide kind of relate to the anxiety of emotional rejection. Tyler's depiction offers a safe space to acknowledge these feelings, but not to normalize them. No, he doesn't want to do that. He wants you to confront them. And by admitting this emotional extremity, even expressing these violent fantasies, no matter how weird they can be, Tyler challenges the macho stoicism often expected of men in music and culture. The song speaks to issues of toxic masculinity and the emotional damage it inflicts, inviting reflection as well as change. So, we know that this is the part where he realizes that, well, he wants this. This is the most intense point of the story. This is the peak. Tyler is consumed by jealousy and is furious about the other person in the love interest's life. The distorted production mirrors his mental spiral, and this is the breaking point where things get ugly. But we got it. We can guess who this person is. Who is Tyler trying to get? Well, in the line, she's gonna be dead. I just got a magic wand. This is the biggest clue that we've got. She's gonna be dead. She is the romantic rival. But why is it a woman? Isn't Tyler in love with a girl? No. The context behind this is that Tyler the Creator, he hasn't really been open with his sexuality, but he is bisexual. So we can get a very big guess from the title of the next song and this song that the person that Tyler is in love with, or Igor is in love with, is a man. So, let's go on to the next song. A Boy is a Gun. A Boy is the Gun is the falling or closing? Well, no. It's the falling action of of Igor's story. So, let's just get straight into it with some of the authorial choices. First of all, it's the striking metaphor of love and danger. He employs this metaphor by declaring that a boy is a gun. It captures how someone beloved can also inflict emotional pain. He sees the boy as sweet yet perilous, a mixture of comfort and threat. Next is the back and forth emotional tension. Tyler casts his love interest as both vital and harmful. How come you the best to me? I know you're the worst for me. Boy, you're sweet as sugar, diabetic to the first degree. These lines illustrate a push and pull dynamic, attracted yet aware of the toxicity. The, the listener commentary echoes the emotional pull that a gun makes you feel safe, but is also dangerous. Next is the use of samples, as well as the cinematic production. The song samples Bound by the Ponderosa Twins plus one, flipped into a minimal and looped beat. Critics describe its tone as minimalist and emotionally volatile, which matches the emotional tension of Igor's narrative. So, finally, the song reconfigures dangerous imagery through vulnerability. Tyler rewrites the phrase, a girl is a gun, to highlight a boy's emotional power, subverting assumptions about masculinity. So, there's two global significances that I can get from this song. First is highlighting the duality of love. The gun metaphors reveal how love can be both protective as well as destructive. Worldwide, people can relate to the emotional paradox of intimacy that simultaneously nurtures and hurts. Next is encouraging emotional authenticity in men. Tyler's portrayal of romantic vulnerability is a rejection of traditional masculine stoicism, especially meaningful for black men in hip hop. It invites listeners to embrace emotional depth, breaking generational taboos. So, a boy is a gun. We finally get the confirmation that Tyler is aware of this toxic path that he's going down, and the person that he likes is just a boy. Well, not just a boy, he's a man. He's conflicted. Igor is conflicted. He knows this relationship hurts him, but he can't let go. The metaphor of a gun captures danger and attraction. The person is both comforting and destructive, and he's stuck in a cycle of wanting and resenting. We're going to be going to the closure, the conclusion of Igor's story, and the last song, Are We Still Friends? We're now on the final song of Igor, and it's Are We Still Friends? Are We Still Friends is the very great and wonderful closing of Igor's story arc. This really is the type of song that you want to end a story. Like, if this whole album was a movie, this would be the credits playing. So, first, this is the authorial choices. First, there's the emotional climax. The track serves as the emotional apex of Igor, even though it's the conclusion. It combines elements from earlier songs for a resolution or conclusion-like feel. Again, it blends R&B, glitch pop, synth pop, gospel soul, and a drumless hip hop, a combination of sonic textures used throughout the album. And these layered influences symbolize the complexity of emotional closure. Next is the plain spoken but relatable lyrics. It's simple, but it's really heartbreaking. The phrasing that mirrors our own inner dialogues after a breakup. I can't ride for you no more. Don't you think that I know? His vulnerability is vulnerable, it's naked. No shelter, no pretense. It's the purest moment of emotional truth. Next, there's the repetition. The repetitive chorus, Are We Still Friends? It echoes like a streetlight flickering late at night. It's hopeful, wounded, and uncertain. It conveys the real closure. It conveys where real closure begins, with acknowledgement of loss and a tentative search for connection. Next, something that's evident is that there's no heavy drums or harsh beats. It's light synths and soft strings, reinforcing the vacant emotional space that was left behind. The quietness of the song is purposeful. It invites listeners into a shared moment of silence and reflection. So, what's the global significance that we can get from this album or song? First is Tyler rejects the dramatic finale or revenge narrative. Instead, he offers this bittersweet acceptance. You know you can call me, call me, call me. This mature take on ended love reminds people globally that it's possible to move forward while preserving kindness, which is a healthy alternative to hate or indifference. Next, there's this validating post breakup pain. The song articulates post relationship grief and ambivalence, emotions too often dismissed or dramatized. Tyler captures this nuanced emotional space, and it helps listeners understand that friendship post breakup is messy, real, and it's also worthy of respect. And finally, there's Tyler's emotional literacy through art. Tyler's sparse yet potent lyrics mirror real internal conversations. I swear to God, you know I tried. And by modeling this emotional expression, he helps normalize vulnerability. He encourages listeners worldwide to have harder and braver conversations after breakups. The song has a finale. Igor accepts the romance is over. He asks if they can at least remain friends, but the song's swelling and cinematic ending feels like a curtain closing on an intense chapter of his life. It's not a happy ending, but it is peaceful in its own way. Are We Still Friends is a poetic and courageous finale to Igor. It's minimalistic, but it's emotionally produced. And its vulnerable lyrics, and with its vulnerable lyrics, Tyler asks the universal question, do we end or do we evolve? Love's story rarely ends clearly, but sometimes it transforms. Tyler's song invites us to carry comparison, not bitterness, forward into the next chapter of our lives because friendship isn't always the end of love. Through that, I'm pretty sure you could tell how much I'll be rating this album. To me, Igor is a 10 out of 10, an 11 out of 10 album. It's Tyler's greatest work. It's the most emotionally raw storytelling of his time. So, yeah, that's Igor. And I'm not sure what I'll be analyzing next, actually. We'll have to wait for next week. But yeah, that's all from me. Thank you guys for listening. And yeah, remember in this podcast, lyrics do matter.